everyone, welcome back. This is going to be a review on the new Too Faced Just Peachy Matte Palette. This is an all matte palette that features more peachy shades with a few darker shades to deepen out or to make your look a little bit more dramatic. And in this video I'm going to share with you my experience with the eyeshadows. Now I'm going to share with you some swatches, but the experience that I had with these eyeshadows are on my lids, and everything that I'm about to share with you is by blending it with other eyeshadows from the palette, and you know how the texture is, if they blend nicely with each other. I mean, I have a few duds in this palette that I'm gonna discuss in this video, and this is in my experience how I use makeup, so hopefully by the end of the video I can share with you enough information to help you decide if this is something that you need in your collection. Now this palette retails for $45. I ordered it in the Sephora website when they put it for sale for BIVs, and you can also find it in the Too Faced website. Now it has 5 stars in the Too Faced website with 18 reviews up until today where I'm filming this video. And if you want to check out more experiences with other people trying this palette, I will link that in the description box down below. Now Too Faced says that this Just Peachy Matte is infused with refreshing peach and sweet fig cream in our exclusive modern comfort matte formula for intense color payoffs that's beyond blendable. Create endless looks with 12 matte shades of warm peaches, buttery creams, and rich browns that smell and feel oh so good. Now this smells like peaches and cream, and once you open, I don't know if you have the Too Faced chocolate bar, that once you open it you can smell the chocolate. With this one you have to be really close in order to kind of smell it, and when you put it on your eyes, then that's when you start to smell it. It's very sweet. I don't mind it, but it does have a scent, just in case you're sensitive to scents or anything like that. Now it comes in this really nice packaging. It's kind of a plastic metal looking like palette that opens with these 2 peaches. One goes up and the other down, and it's a magnetic closure. It has a huge mirror that it's really nice that I've done my makeup. I actually did my makeup with this mirror this morning, and it's one of the different looks that they feature in the Glamour guide that they sent with this palette. So yesterday I uploaded the video where I share with you the very first one, which is the more subtle of the 3 looks that they share in here, and this is a Peach Daydream. Today I have the second one. I used it before. I did this look yesterday as well while I was trying this palette, and this is the Peach After Dark look, and it does have another one that I will do in a future video. Now I tried this look already, but anyways, I feel like this is a very beginner friendly palette. It has the lighter shades in the very first 3 shades, then you have the kind of transition shade right here, these 3, and also the darker shades that you can use for the crease in this area, and then the very last 3 are more dark, so you can use those for deepen out the outer V, maybe creating a smoky look with more of a peachy transition shades like you can use in this palette. And I think it's very beginner friendly because I mean you have them in like one area of the palette, which makes it easier to kind of see which one you want on your lid, which one, you know, it's very easy. I think it's beginner friendly. Now as far as the formula, I'm gonna go through each one of the colors and share with you my experience with them. Again, my experience with the shades is not by swatching them, but I still wanted to do a swatch so you can see a little bit more of the colors. Everything that I'm about to share with you about each one of these shades is by trying them on my lids in different makeup looks. Yesterday I ended up with my eye, this one really irritated just because of removing my makeup so many times to try a different look, you know, it's fun. It's fun, but I think I was a little bit too rough on this eye while I was removing my makeup. Anyways, I'm gonna start with the first shade, which is Peach Meringue, and this is one of my favorite shades because you can use it for the lid area. You can use it for your brow bone, the inner corner. You can also use it for blending. Now I love to have this kind of shade for whenever I go a little bit too far in my transition, that it's, you know, going above the brow bone, then I can blend this shade and it will make it go away and it will be even more blended. So it has a lot of different uses. It's very soft, it's very buttery. It does have a little bit of powderiness or kick off of powder when you use it with a brush. When you are doing just a regular swatch, you won't be able to see it, but when you're using a brush, you will see a little bit of powder kind of going around the shade. Now the next one is Peach Tea. This is a beautiful shade. It's more of a transition shade for me, but I can also use it all over the lid. I tried it yesterday all over the lid with no other shades, and it's beautiful. It's just one of those really looks like nothing kind of shade, but once you put it on, it's very orange but light. It's just a perfect peach for transition, or that perfect medium tone light / light kind of peach. It's very blendable, it's very soft, it's very, once you touch it, you'll realize it feels like you're touching some kind of cornstarch or something. It's very, very soft and very pigmented. So don't, underestimate this shade. Make sure you just take a little bit, you remove the excess and then apply, because it will be crazy pigmented if you don't do that. Now the next one is Peach Cobbler. This one, it's a more of a darker shade compared to the one before, and it has a little bit more of a rusty orange tone that it's beautiful. I do like it. I think it's the perfect companion for the previous shade, which is Peach Tea, or any other shades in this palette. And if you want to deepen out your crease with a very warm shade, that one, it's very beautiful, but it's still subtle enough that it's not going to be crazy like the other two kind of crease shades that I'm going to mention in just a minute. Now the color Peach Tart. This one, it's tricky. I think it's because it's a little bit of a drier formula, and you will see it in a swatch. It's not as creamy as the ones I mentioned before. And the problem with this shade is once you apply it, and I'm going to show you, because again, I did try this. I removed my makeup, try it again, until I got it right. I think that if you use Peach Tart in a small area, like in your under your crease, and blend it and take the time to blend it, you can make it work. But if you want to do a smoky eye and kind of get more space with this, or use this eyeshadow all over the lid, it will give you a really hard time to blend it. I don't know if the formula of this shade is completely different. By the way, I'll leave the ingredients in the description box because they do have it on the website, and I don't know what it is, but it's just not the same as the previous three colors. It's hard to get. It's just hard. So you have to dip your brush in it in order to pick up the product. And applies patchy. Again, I did make it work for the first look from the Glamour guide. I did make it work, but it's just in such a small area that I was okay by doing all the steps that takes to blend that shade. But if you wanted to go above, like I tried before, just to see how it blend, if I took a little bit more space in my lid, it took me forever and it never looked right. I gave up on it, and I don't know, just something that you should know. If that was the shade that you were like, oh my goodness, I love this palette because of Peach Tart and I'm gonna get it for Peach Tart, not worth it. That shade is not worth it. Then the next shade is Peach Butter, which it looks pretty similar to Peach Meringue, but this one, it has a more of a white, true white undertone, which I love. I think it's beautiful, it's very pigmented, it's very soft, it's very blendable. It's the kind of shade that you would need if you want to set your eye primer to create more of an even base. I think this is a perfect shade for that. It's a perfect shade if you want to create a look with a white lid and make it more fresh. And you can also use it in your brow bone area, inner corner. You can blend with it. If you are fair skin tone and you need a little bit more help with the blending because your lines are just going crazy or they're too dark, you can get a little bit of this and just blend it. It's just a beautiful shade. Just Peachy. It's one of those shades that it's kind of the pop of color on this palette. It's not as soft as peach butter. It's a little bit harder compared to that one that it's so creamy, but it's still soft and blendable and pigmented. And I think that it's kind of the different shade from this palette. It's still peach, but it's a pop of color. It's just beautiful. You will love it. I think if you use it all over the lid and then kind of deepen it out with the darker peach shades, it looks beautiful like that. I also try it as a transition shade, and it's more fun because it's a little bit more, I don't want to say neon, but it's more, you know, it's just those peach that you can tell that it's more colorful than the rest of the peach shades here. So I do like it. Now Peach Punch, it's beautiful. It's more of a coral, but it's harder. The formula on this one, it's a little bit harder and you have to dip your brush a little bit more. It looks a little bit more chalky, but it's still really pigmented. Peach Punch is something that I have on my lids today as well, and it works. It's just not as soft as the other shades. Now Just Ripe is one of those shades that is not as pigmented as it looks on the pan, but it's still blendable. I mean, if you compare it with the color Peach Tart, it's better. It's much better, but it's just not as soft as the colors that we mentioned before, like Peach Meringue, Peach Tea, Peach Cobbler, Peach Butter. Now Peaches and Cream, it's beautiful and it's kind of unique. I don't know if you have a color like this, a light peach like this, but I don't have in my collection, so I thought that was a really nice addition. Once you look at this palette, you're like, okay, it's another shade, but when you swatch it or when you start to play with it, you'll realize that it's such a beautiful and unique shade. It's very blendable. This one is really soft, and it does get a little bit, you know, when you put your brush in, you'll see a little bit of powder around the eyeshadow, but it's not too much. It's not like a Lorac or Anastasia one. It's just a little bit of fallout or a little bit of powderiness around the eyeshadow. You just have to take the time to do it very softly and you'll avoid that. Then it's the color Fresh Picked, which is another beautiful shade that is completely different from the other three transition shades that it's here. This one, it's a little bit more deep but more peach compared to Peach Tea and Just Peachy that is a little bit lighter. This one is beautiful. It's blendable. I do like it. I think it's a beautiful shade, and I think it's different enough from the other lighter peaches that you have in this palette. Now Peach Sangria is a different story. That's what I have on my lid today, and I tried it yesterday in 2 different looks. And is it hard to blend? No, not really, but it's different. It's a little bit more hard, not as creamy as the other shades that I mentioned that are really creamy in this palette. Is it a bad shade? No. Will I continue to use it? Yes. I think it's just different formula compared to the other ones, but you can still blend it. It's very pigmented, and it's just one of those shades that is the kind of the pop of color as well on the darker side, because this one is a little bit more berry. Now finally, the color Chocolate Dip. This is more of the cool tone shade from this palette, and it's beautiful. It's pigmented. It really blends amazingly, and it's as soft as Peach Meringue or Peach Butter or Peaches and Cream. It's just as soft. So I don't get why this one being that dark. You would think that maybe because the darker formula it's different, but this one out of all the darker shades is the one that I love the most because it's really blendable. Now you have to have some kind of balance, and I think that it was really nice that they added this into a very warm palette, because you can use this in the outer corner and kind of take your look a little bit more wearable, or make it a little bit more wearable. If you have a lot of peach on your eyes, it may look very, very colorful and not appropriate for every occasion. But once you add a color like chocolate dip, I think that it makes things a little bit more wearable or a little bit less colorful if that's what you're going for. Overall, I think it's a good palette. It does have a few shades that I would say that are not a great thing, or they're not as blendable, or they're not as creamy, or they're not the same as the other shades. I wonder why. I'm sure it has to do with the colors and the pigments and everything, but overall this is a palette that I love, that I think it's really good, that I think it kind of has everything that I need in one palette. Now, do I have peach colors in my collection? Yes, but they're usually in different palettes. I have a few in the Balm palettes. I have some other ones in my MAC palette. So I mean, I just have to go get different colors from different palettes to have something a little bit into the peachy zone. So for me, having all these peachy shades are amazing. It's just something that I think it will work for me. I think it's one of those palettes that I can travel with just because of the packaging and just because it has everything that I need for an everyday look. And if I want to make it a little bit more darker, I still have that option here. Having said that, I love matte eyeshadows and I can create many different looks with just a matte palette. But if you are the kind of person that likes shimmery, then this might be something that you want to use along with your other all shimmer palettes that you may have in your collection, or glittery palettes that you have in your collection. But for me, it really is worth to have everything in one small palette that I can create an entire look with it, or it would be the perfect companion where I have all the shades to create something with a little bit more of shimmer or glitter. So anyways, let me know in the comments down below if you tried this palette and if your experience with those shades is the same as mine. Have you tried them on your eyes? Have you seen if it does the same thing for you? I mean, I am not judging these shades my fingers all dirty, but I am not judging these shades because of how they perform once. The shades that I had the most trouble with, I used it in 3 different looks that I came up with while I was using them. I tried like a smoky look all over the lid, then I tried them on the crease, then I tried them in the outer corner, and that's how I realized that it was just a shade and not how I used that shade or the kind of brush that I use. So it might be just personal preference, but just keep those things in mind if you want to go and swatch them in store, or if you receive this palette, just know that most of the eyeshadows are great and you're just gonna find a couple that you might not even care about. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful and I will see you on my next one.